Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valliant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be back here. It's been a spell, but we are back here live on Renegade Nation. It's been several weeks. We've just been so dang busy, but we ain't busy tonight because we got too much to talk about. Before I bring in my illustrious co-host, I had to say, I thought that this was going to be the funniest and most entertaining story to come out of Louisiana, my home state, yesterday, with the Orleans Parish Sheriff going likely to jail on 30 counts. It is, however, not the most interesting story in Louisiana that came out yesterday. Is it, Mr. Coleman?
Oh, no.
No,
it's not. And it's not even the most interesting story that came out about this case.
Yeah.
It's not even the most interesting story that came out about this order. It's cats and dogs living together. Mass insanity.
Yes.
Hysteria. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria, yes, from Ghostbusters. And the reaction to the Supreme Court case is basically what you'd expect. And, of course, I think everybody kind of knows what's going on already with it. Needless to say that, the Supreme Court had a rather important decision that they made yesterday. Mr. Coleman, would you like to kind of cover the basics here for the audience on what happened?
Well, I made a number of important decisions, but this one was really important because, well, I'll explain it to you, and I think it'll be obvious why it's important. I think everyone knows by now. There's something called the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act was passed for a very laudable reason, which is that there was a time in places like Louisiana and a lot of southern states, a lot of states that lost the war between the states, as they like to call it, where they didn't want to let black folk vote. And they would come up with all sorts of ways to prevent that from happening. They would pass laws. They would pass regulations. It was not pretty. And Congress passed a law called the Voting Rights Act. And the Voting Rights Act said, you can't do anything that is going to prejudice the right of a person and the ability of a person to vote and to have his vote count based on race. Seems like a really simple law, right?
Yep.
Seems like really plain language, right? Not in the hands of the United States Supreme Court, at least not the old one.
No.
Because that court, and actually, I mean, they really rubber stamped what had already been taking place for quite some time. As Ralph Branca, I'm showing my age. Ralph Branca. Does anyone know who Ralph Branca is?
Not Ralph Branca. I know an Andrew Branca.
Yeah, but Ralph Branca was a pitcher in the 1950s, I think, for the Indians. I'm not even that old. So Andrew Branca did a really good video on this. I mean, in my house, this is what we listen to in the background, okay, is Branca going through Branca, and of course also
And I have that clip. We can play that in the show, actually, if we want.
Well, I mean,
so.
Well, the problem is that he has certain phrases that he uses that make everything come out 5 times longer than they have to because he inserts them into it. Bottom line is the Supreme Court.
Inferior court, black robe, tirade.
Very good. So the courts said, well, it's basically the same reasoning as affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
Just like affirmative action means that we don't enforce the law that says you can't discriminate based on race, as you can discriminate based on race as long as it's the minority race. The Voting Rights Act was interpreted to mean that, well, because blacks are a minority, it's going to be really hard in some circumstances for them to ever get representation, which by definition in a liberal's mind means the same color as you are, regardless of your policies, your views, your competence. You won't be able to get there won't be a black vote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, we know that there are places where there definitely was and always will be a black vote. Major cities,
mm-hmm.
That have black populations. But what was allowed was gerrymandering. Gerrymandering for purposes of assuring what are called majority-minority districts. Or is it minority-majority districts? And some of these looked like a jigsaw puzzle, even uglier than the ugliest crawfish that Valliant Renegade would happily fry up.
Yeah, well, we don't fry them, we boil them. But
we boil. Okay, in any of that,
barrel.
Yeah, and you think I even know what a crawfish looks like? So, in any of that, finally, Justice Alito, God bless him. God bless him.
Yeah.
Princeton man, New Jersey boy, said, how do they put it? How do they put it in the black districts? Fuck this shit. He said, no, we're not going to read. We're not, and because the law is, and law has long been, gerrymandering is a part of life in a democratic society. And we accept gerrymandering when it's done for political purposes, because that's the way the ball bounces. But when you do it because of racial reasons.
Yep, that's it.
When you do it for racial reasons, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. Why? Because of the Voting Rights Act. And you can argue all you want about why you think there might be a better policy, but Congress passed this policy, the one that says thou shalt not. So guess what? From now on, thou shalt not. So what happened here in Louisiana was prevented by a federal judge from using a redistricting, a new voting map, because it would have eliminated a guaranteed black majority district. So Louisiana said, okay, fine. So I guess we'll have to give you this one. And there was a district, in a gerrymandered district there, that looked like a tumor.
Yep, still does.
Still does. And this was the moment that it was challenged. Got its way up to the Supreme Court. It turns out, it's now coming out today, excuse me, that the left-wing caucus from The View tried to slow walk this as much as possible so that it would be too late to do anything about it before the elections, but they failed.
Yep. And we're gonna walk through that piece by piece.
It's over.
There's a lot to it.
So that's my introduction. I hope I did it justice. I'm no Ralph Branca, much less Andrew Branca.
Well, to that end, so a couple of interesting tidbits about this. This was there was another or a second what was to become a minority majority district back in 1992, 94. It was itself rather short-lived. What most people, even in Louisiana, don't remember is that the very guy who's sitting in District 6 today, Cleo Fields, who also ran for governor in the late 90s unsuccessfully against Mike Foster, who won, he is losing his seat. The story that Ron just told is correct. In the 90s, there was a second minority-majority district. It was Cleo Fields. Back in 1992, the same guy who has the one now that was just put into force 2 years ago. You want to see the clearest explanation? Somebody pulled the clip from the old house of from the house at Louisiana legislature. Sorry, got it right here. This was the clearest explanation, and this was definitively yes. It was based purely on race. Here you have it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Boyer, thanks for carrying the bill over here. Is this bill intended to create another black district?
Yes, ma'am. And to comply with the judge's order.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Boyer, thank
That's it. That was the.
That was really, really smart of her to ask that question on the record.
Yes.
And he answered honestly.
Yes.
Because he's saying, hey, listen, I'm just doing what the law said.
At this point in 2022 and 24, I mean, the House in Louisiana was very deep red. It has been for some time. Speaker of the House is a Republican. The House and the Senate both controlled by Republicans in very similar fashion to what you see currently in the state of Florida, which is another story we get to in a little bit. But yes, she got up, asked, let's be clear, we're creating this district because for no other reason other than we're trying to create a district for black voters based on racial lines. Yes, because that's what the judge is making us do. And that was the federal judge that handed that down. That's where this challenge came from that finally made its way over into the Supreme Court. That happened in 2024. That district was plotted back in the middle of Louisiana. I think everybody by now has seen the picture of it. And this is Kai. I was like, yeah, this is a great show for me to do because, good Lord, I can tell you all about it. And that's the proposal there. Let me find... I had so much stuff saved. Now I'm going to have a heck of a time trying to find it. But in any case, it runs this goofy, crazy little thing all the way from East Baton Rouge Parish, snakes its way up the I-49 corridor, all the way up to Shreveport, and gets a piece of Shreveport, which is also a predominantly black city.
You must have the map. You got a graphic of the map. Show the people the map.
I've got a map. I just got to go grab it. It's on a different. I had it on a different. I didn't put it on this screen, but. What I'm going to show you here is that it is a goofy district. Let's see. Congressional map. I forgot to port it over from my laptop.
I didn't mean to embarrass you. Sorry.
No, I know. It was one of those things I forgot to. Oops. It's one of those things. What happened here? It was one of those things I forgot to. There we go. I forgot to port over. Louisiana District 6 map. Why? Oh, Google doesn't want to work for me right now. That's why, because Google never works. There we go. Okay. There we go. GovTrack. That's the one I wanted. All right. So let me get this pulled up, and I'm going to show everybody real quick here what we're talking about, because this thing... And look, District 2, which is the other black congressional district, that is comprised primarily of New Orleans, okay, is just as weird as this one in terms of its shape, and I'm going to kind of point this out so everybody can appreciate kind of how goofball this is. All right, so what you see here, LA 6 right there in the middle, that yellow highlight, all right, that's the district. It runs from East Baton Rouge Parish all the way up, grabs kind of to the north side of Lafayette, and then rolls up the I-49 corridor all the way up to Opelousas, Alexandria, scoots and just ekes its way through a little narrow corridor there so it can reach back up past Nacogdoches, Mansfield, and make it all the way up to not even all of, but a little, half a Shreveport, okay? Again, the district was deliberately drawn to create a majority district based on skin color. This is the sole purpose that this goofy district exists. It's also the same reason that LA2, which is the other, now this is what's being debated right now, and I was trying to get in touch with some friends.
Can we
that
talk
are
about the
in,
Tai Chi walking, though? Can we just talk about the Tai Chi walking?
Oh, the Tai Chi walking thing? Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, someone's got back big time here, huh? I mean,
yeah. Get rid of that pop-up. Seeing somebody's big fat ass. But LA2 is kind of in the same boat. Because, again, this is a district that was deliberately created to create a black majority district. So before the show started, and I didn't think I was going to be successful, I'm gonna double check my phone, because the Louisiana legislature is already in regular session right now. And I probably have a few friends that are in that legislature in Baton Rouge. And of course, I can't get them to pick up the phone right now to save my life, which is unsurprising. But I was trying to find out, because the debate right now is there are a few maps that are floating through the legislature. I think there's going to be, for right now, maybe, I'm leaning towards thinking they're going to play the safe route, and they're going to keep LA2 basically what it is, as opposed to going to, wiping that out as well right now. Although I could be wrong. Not that and again, Louisiana's probably going to lose one of these congressional seats after 2030 anyway, almost assuredly. We're going to go down to 5, okay? But if you look at LA2, it's just as weird. The city of New Orleans right here, okay? LA2 doesn't even encompass all of New Orleans. If you are from this area, as I am, and you look at how this congressional district is cut, you look at this and you go, this is just silly. It goes through, and I'll show everybody. Here's this blue line right here is the 17th Street Canal, the infamous 17th Street Canal that breached, one of them that breached during Katrina, flooding out the Lakeview area, okay? Lakeview was cut out of the predominantly black district, even though it is very much New Orleans, because it is overwhelmingly not black. Also, this area of uptown New Orleans around Audubon Park, literally drawing the map, cutting St. Charles Avenue, one of the most famous streets in the country, in half on the congressional map. All the way through the Garden District right here where, like, Commander's Palace
is. Half down the road, down the middle of the road?
Yes. Like, if
That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
Lots of roads might be cut in half. But when you say this side of the tracks and that side of the tracks, that's usually a pretty good sign something's going on.
Yeah, so on if you look right here, where this line is, I'll zoom into Uptown. See St. Charles Avenue right there. Okay, so St. Charles Avenue is basically like a borderline. If your house is on the, and you see how that gray line is right next to that, and those two parallel white lines, white lines, that's St. Charles eastbound and westbound. So if you live on the westbound side, or excuse me, the eastbound side of St. Charles, you are in District 2 for Louisiana. If you live on the south side, if your house is on the south side, 20 feet away on the same street, but on the other lane, because the streetcars, the famous New Orleans streetcars, run right in between these two lines right here, where my cursor's swirling. It's ridiculous. And it literally stops halfway down St. Charles and then carves this up. It's a nonsense district, because what they've done is they carved out all the white areas of New Orleans. They lumped that into what my district is, which is District 1, which is Steve Scalise, by the way. Okay? But the rest of New Orleans here takes on a piece of St. Bernard Parish. New Orleans and Orleans Parish are geographically congruent. They're the one and the same thing, okay? Orleans Parish right now, the city of New Orleans, has a population reportedly of about 360,000. That's down significantly from over 500,000 it was before Katrina. People have moved out. I mean, not just because of Katrina, but they've moved out of the city itself for reasons that you can find readily available on the news. But if you were to take New Orleans, take Jefferson Parish right next to it, which is a deep red parish, that is Steve Scalise That's his home turf right there, Jefferson Parish, where you see Metairie and Kenner, Harahan, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that district was drawn like that. Then they had to draw another one. If you look at Baton Rouge, we did the same thing here, Ron. Let me explain. For those of you who've heard me tell the story before, St. George right there, that was a big legal fight in Louisiana for the last 10 years. Finally, St. George was successful. That was an area of unincorporated East Baton Rouge Parish, or county, as the rest of you guys out there call it, that decided we want to create our own school system because basically all of our tax dollars are getting sucked out and sent into the city of Baton Rouge, which is also in East Baton Rouge Parish. But the city of Baton Rouge controls politically and fiscally the entire parish, including the unincorporated areas, unless, of course, you file to have an incorporated municipality of your own. St. George decided they wanted to have their own school system and said no. And, Louisiana said no. View and print directions.
And that of course, went to court. And they were found.
For years.
But last year, the ruling came out. Wasn't it last year?
A couple of years ago, yeah, a year or two ago, they got it through, but that was their second attempt. My point of bringing this up is when you look at the map.
Let me just
go ahead.
Yeah. That is something unique. Not too many states, I believe, permit a state to secede, a municipality to secede.
Well, they didn't secede. That was just it. That was just it.
They didn't secede.
They did not.
It was just
This was not a de-annexation. And this is what people kind of misunderstand. So you have East Baton Rouge Parish, which is the entire county, right? Baton Rouge itself, unlike New Orleans, where the city of New Orleans is the entire parish of Orleans. East Baton Rouge Parish, the city of Baton Rouge is only a small portion of it in terms of the actual incorporated city, okay? So I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to bring it back up. So you can see Baton Rouge right here, and it's right here. The city limits kind of die out right here. The problem is when you look here, Central, St. George, Gonzales, actually, no, I don't think Gonzales is part of it, Walker, all the way back here, that parish extends well beyond what the city limits are. So this area of St. George was simply an unincorporated area of the parish it was in. It wasn't in the city of limits. All they'd petitioned the state to do was, hey, we have a right under the Louisiana Constitution to form another city in East Baton Rouge. And they followed the rules to do it. In the beginning, okay, because people said, oh, this was about white people and doing this. Look at District 2 or District 6, Congressional District 6 right here. Look at where the lines are drawn. The yellow shaded area is the Cleo Fields district that the United States Supreme Court just said, nah, brah. Okay? That's the one that is getting yeeted. The other area here is another congressional district. That's part of District 5. That's another story. And the reason District 5 looks as goofy as it does is because basically every other congressional district around 6 and 2 has to formulate itself in some goofy manner so that these two black congressional districts can be artificially created in the middle of the state. Okay? But what St. George did is they finally got it through. They're now petitioning, they're filing. This is actually on the ballot coming up that we were voting on, along with Congress, which election just got suspended. On May 15th, I was going to go vote, not only for Congress, but also for U.S. Senate. Okay, there's a number of people running there. Senator Kennedy, not up for re-election right now. Nobody panic. It's Bill Cassidy that's up. Kennedy ain't going anywhere, I promise you. He's going to die in that office if he wants to. People love him.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He would be better dead than at least 90 of them are alive.
Yes. But what happened here is you get these goofy districts. St. George originally had an area of unincorporated East Baton Rouge that was predominantly, frankly, overwhelmingly black. The first round 10 years ago, guess what happened? That area that St. George was inviting in, saying, hey, listen, you come with us. We form our own school district. Your children are going to be so much better off than getting picked up and bussed into, inner East Baton Rouge, or excuse me, inner city of Baton Rouge public schools. We're going to have our own system here. This could be a lot better for you kids. You know what that area of unincorporated EBR told them? No, we don't want to take part. So the petition fell short. They had to go back, refiled, and they filed eliminating that area. That area now is what you're looking at here, that basically, you see this little knot of this shaded area that sticks out just above LSU, Louisiana State University, where my cursor is? That was the area that St. George wanted to bring in. It's a predominantly black area. This is what we're talking about with this ridiculous gerrymandering to create these things for the sole purpose of creating a district that is predominantly of a certain racial component. You want to make a district that is going to favor a Democrat electorate or a Republican electorate? Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? That's why we have elections to elect state legislatures, because they're going to determine how those lines are drawn. But deciding a congressional map that might favor one political outcome over another is not necessarily wrong. We might not like it, but the fact of the matter is, but when you do it based on race, as Ron pointed out, it's kind of the bright line test, isn't it?
Well, here they made it very bright.
Yes, they definitely
They made it very bright. And you know what? The statute's bright. The judges were bright. Not very bright about being bright, but the lines they drew were bright.
Yeah.
And this is the world that we're living in. I mean, Alito even says something really interesting in that opinion. He says, this court in earlier times got it wrong. He doesn't quite use those words, but he says, it's kind of hard to defend some of the choices that, I don't remember what the language was, but you have to come to terms with that.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a minute, because this is one of the defense mechanisms, and I'm gonna pull some of this back up here, just some comments that I've clipped throughout the day, and then some of the reaction to this, because again, Governor Landry using emergency powers under the Louisiana State Constitution, just as was happened during COVID, was he suspended the election just for Congress. Everything else is fine. But for Congress, based on the Supreme Court ruling, by the way, the Supreme Court that Republicans really want, but and would still get called racist for it. But speaking of, there's Bronca's breakdown right there. But this is potentially one of the proposals people are talking about that might change the map a little bit. This could be something similar to this that we see in the next couple of 2 or 3 days, but. This he did it because he didn't have a choice, because, the court passed a ruling, said, hey, this district is a no-go. We've made how do you proceed on mission? Holding an election that basically the Supreme Court has just said is unconstitutional. I don't know what else you wanted the governor to do. And then late this evening, we got another bit of late breaking news on that. And that was what, Ron? I think you mentioned it earlier a little bit. Is that another federal court decided that can't. You've got to shut it down. You got 3 days to come up with a new map. I'm scrolling through to try to find it. Here we go. This is it here. Louisiana has just been blocked by a federal court from carrying out congressional elections using this racially gerrymandered and abomination of a map that favors Democrats. Louisiana Republicans must now carry out plans for a new map. Specifically in that they have 3 days. 3 days to come up with a map. That does not necessarily mean that the election is going to be forced to resume on May 15th, because early voting was set to begin in that race and all these other races this week.
Although the whole question of early voting, that this is a primary.
Right.
But that also that's another kind of scam that the Supreme Court is wrestling with now.
And which they need to do, which I can't stand early voting. We have absentee ballots and absentee voting. I'm fine with that. especially when you used to have to show up and show a valid excuse as to why you couldn't make it on election day. But that's, yeah, I mean, that's another story. But likely that these primaries for United States Congress are going to be pushed back probably a few months, because the candidates are unlikely to change in any radical or meaning way across the state, all six districts worth, because they're all going to have to move and shift probably a little bit to accommodate this change. The issue is that because you have changing boundaries, now you have to update all of the voter rolls to reflect this. It's not an overnight process. So, that's the Secretary of State. That's the clerks of court all over the state of Louisiana. I mean, I live around the 22nd JDC here. I mean, there's clerk of courts. Those are the ones that are responsible for tabulating the ballots in elections, or tabulating the ballots on election night. I've been sequestered in the clerk's office because I used to be an elections commissioner, sitting there opening envelopes, counting absentee ballots, and then as we recorded some of the data that were coming in from elections commissioners, we were taking the signed ticker tapes from the printed out receipts of the voting machines and uploading them to the Secretary of State's website. All that stuff has to be updated. If you've got a few thousand voters here, 10,000 voters over here, 50,000 voters over here, that suddenly, up until today, we're going to be in one congressional district to vote with one slate of candidates, and are now going to be in another. And this idea of, oh no, let it go, stay the judgment until after the 2026 elections. Ron, your thoughts on that one?
That is amazing chutzpah.
Yeah, it really is.
Chutzpah, and I don't think it's going to fare very well.
I don't think so either, because you had sent me this. If you want to kind of expand upon this, on what this was.
So my friend, the eminent legal thinker, Margot Cleveland, writes, holy beep, losers in Calais are, did I say it right?
Yeah, Calais. That's how I thought it was, like Calais, France.
That's right. Well, sometimes, North American versions of French sound different. Are asking SCOTUS to stay issuing its judgment until after the 2026 elections are complete. In other words, they ruled yesterday.
Yeah.
But there's something called a mandate that comes down from an appellate court. It's really silly. It doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. It might have once been for purposes of getting stuff printed, getting stuff distributed. And I could see today where you might want to make sure that there aren't any errors in an opinion or something. But the mandate is when the court says, remember what we said on April 28th? Well, now we're saying do what we said.
Right.
Act accordingly. That's usually about a month. I don't know specifically. I don't remember specifically what the period is in the Supreme Court, but these guys are saying, well, we lost, but what if we could just win one more? It would be so on one side, you've got people filing lawsuits saying, can we get this accelerated so that it applies as soon as possible, because we have a lot of administrative work to do, as you were saying. And on the other hand, we got the losers saying, could we just have another free bite, another free strike,
right?
At what you have literally described as an illegal election map,
right? I'm sorry. Okay, you've ruled that it's unconstitutional, but can you let us just do it one more time, please? This is quite literally what's being asked. It's insanity. And there were thoughts about how when this case was moving its way through the ranks over the last year or so, because this goes back at least till summer of last year, thereabout. And that maybe there was some deliberate, feet dragging out there to try to make sure that, this wouldn't get to the SCOTUS before the midterm elections, because it's not just Louisiana, obviously. There's an inherent domino effect to this. And that's what, oops, let me pull it up. There's a domino effect. We're seeing things pop out of Florida. We're hearing, Alabama is now turning the screws. Mississippi is also. Everybody's looking at this because, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. The Democrats have basically engineered a system over a very long period of time, many decades, of creating a lot more congressional prowess and power than they truly have in terms of how kind of a more natural electorate would behave. And that is because...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean, I thought you were closer to the United States than that. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to simply add to it, and they've done that by gerrymandering these majority-minority districts based solely on race, which are going to turn out to be Democrat districts 100 times out of 100.
So that's an interesting thing, is that, again, we have this principle that you can gerrymander for political power. Keep in mind, before the Senate was changed to direct election within a state, the state house, the state political parties of each state controlled who went to the Senate. It was always understood that states would have the power to decide politically who would represent them in Congress, in both houses of Congress, because this was a union of states.
Yes.
States meaning they were like countries. Until they united, it was a federation. First, it was a confederation.
Yeah,
now,
we had to pass a constitutional amendment to make U.S. senators be popularly elected. And around the same time, in fact, that we passed the language to unban the income tax, which was originally banned in the Constitution.
Right. So it makes sense that you would have that power and that the states would be able to exercise it. And, there's a tension here because, as you just said, Valliant, these are understood to be Democrat seats, not to be black vote. In other words, black vote is a proxy for Democrats in every respect. But that lady in the state house that you showed us from before, if she had asked, is this just to make a Democrat seat, a second Democrat seat?
Right.
The gentleman would never have said yes, because that would be unsporting. That would be like cheating.
Yeah.
But what he
Boye, thanks for carrying the bill.
Sorry.
But what he was comfortable saying was, well, yeah, of course. Isn't that our job? Isn't that what the courts, isn't that what the law requires us to do?
Yeah. And
so
this was after the federal judge demanded they do it.
Right. So ironically, it was easier for him to admit he was doing something that the Voting Rights Act explicitly prohibits, but which the court said, no, don't trust your lying eyes. That's not what it says.
Right.
Then to admit that he was doing something that the Voting Rights Act is silent about, but which is actually part of the intention of how it's supposed to run. Now Democrats, in order to justify this kind of gerrymandering, either have to do it the way they do in California, which is just, look, we're the Democrats, we're in charge, F you. And in California, you can do that, but in a state, in a conservative state, which is most of the southern states, it doesn't work that way. Big changes.
Yeah, big changes. And for those of you that weren't here earlier in the show, and thanks for joining us, hit the like and subscribe button out there. We got some super chats. I'm going to get to that in just a second. I'm just going to play this again since Ron brought it up in case you missed it. This is in the Louisiana House roughly 4 years ago now. And this is when the bill passed in the Louisiana State Legislature to redraw the congressional district maps that created the second black majority district, the one occupied by Cleo Fields, who, again, ironically, was the same guy who lost a majority-minority district 30 years ago in the 90s that he was also a congressman for. This was his second term around, and it got yeeted, this time by the Supreme Court in pretty epic fashion. But this was 4 years ago. Listen carefully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Boyer, thanks for carrying the bill over here. Is this bill intended to create another black district?
Is this bill intended to create another black district? She didn't say Democrat. She specifically said, is this intended to create another black, meaning deliberately black majority district? We're drawing a district based on skin color, on racial lines. Yes or no, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, ma'am. And to comply with the judge's order.
And his answer, and again, for those of you that don't know, this guy ain't a Democrat, okay? This is a Republican-controlled House, a Republican-controlled Senate in Louisiana. I live here. Trust me, I know. But he specifically said, yes, ma'am, to comply with the judge's order, because a federal judge had dictated down there based on the very same Voting Rights Act that the Supreme Court just took to task a bit here in this ruling, or at least the assumption that this is part of it, and saying that Louisiana had to do this. Now, this was a lower court ruling a few years back. This was not a Supreme Court ruling, to be clear. A lower court ruling, federal judge, and yeah, I think the issue's been put to bed. So basically what we have now is the state, or a lot of different states, Florida, Alabama, I had that up a minute ago, are going to task right now, re-examining their own maps, because many of those states in the South here have basically, through, directly or indirectly, threat of a federal judge or otherwise, Department of Justice coming in, looking at you got to do this. We have to have black district. They have carved these out in Mississippi, in Alabama, in Florida, in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Tennessee, so on and so forth. There's people up there now, oh my God, the Memphis this and that is going to go away. Well, if they have a deliberately racially gerrymandered district around Memphis to suit just the black population of Memphis, then yeah, the ruling yesterday, I believe, would apply, would it not? I mean, so.
Yeah, I think it will. Well, it would. I mean, now we have, again, it comes down to these technical details.
Yeah.
Who's going to be that judge? And we have seen judges demonstrate phenomenal chutzpah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be the judge who's going to say, I'm going to disregard this ruling because it actually, the mandate hasn't issued yet? I mean, we've seen judges say that Boasberg, boy, he's had a bad run. Huh?
Yeah, God, what a mess. But I had this up a moment ago. This is what I was saying about Alabama. Yeah, but you're right. But I think that's why you had that federal court late this afternoon, say, okay, the Supreme Court's ruled you have to do this now. You have 3 days. And look, was it necessary for them to do that? No, not really, I guess, because Jeff Landry had already made the decision that he was going to immediately comply with the Supreme Court decision. But it's a really nice buffer for Jeff Landry to say, hey, all Kings people, the court just say, we got the Supreme Court saying can't do this. I got another federal court telling me, foot on the gas right now, you got 3 days. What you want me to do about it? Good for him. State of Alabama is now moving to get a new congressional map drawn by asking the Supreme Court to step in following the anti-racial gerrymandering ruling. All right, hold that thought, audience. We'll get to that. Let me grab these super chats because I'm gonna get Ron to chime in on how that might work. Marcus Squintus for $5. Marcus donated one quote. Thank God I live in a non-gerrymandered state membership. Yeah, I thought you lived up in Minnesota. Okay, I guess more gerrymandered than that. Packing protons for 2. Rejected dead channel tax. Araxis for 2. Support for packing and Squinty Post. Thank you, Araxis. And for $10, John Thomas says, Ron, what's your take on Elena Kagan wanting to delay Dobbs' opinion, quote, because the makeup of the court may change, I think is what he means, meaning at least one justice might get deleted and 4-4 nothing would actually change. Interesting. Yeah, I've had another Elena Kagan piece here as well, but go ahead, Ron.
She's a really disappointing person. She has the ability to understand the law on a very high level. She was dean of Harvard Law School. And my friend Adrian Vermeule, who's a professor at Harvard, says that in his experience as a dean, she was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Academically, intellectually, personally. And yet, on the Supreme Court, all too often, and not always, but all too often, she votes on really weak minority opinions, joining dissents with Jackson and what's her name?
Oh, Ketanji Sotomayor.
Sotomayor. You know, it's she knows better, but she simply can't stop herself from being a social justice warrior. And it's getting, although her vote, I mean, again, there've been a number of 7-2 votes in the last year and a half, which is a big deal. 7-2 is a lot better than 6-3. Yeah, but we're still in a world where whenever it's a 6-3 or 7-2, you always know what the 3 and 2 are.
You do, and I was kind of holding on this because I had another Kagan quote we'll get to, but since John Thomas brought this up and he dropped the 10, thank you, Duck Vader, who made this for me before the show started, and I'm going to play it now. Okay. Thank you, Duck Vader. I told him I'd play that. I made a Three Stooges joke on X. Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I had to address an emergency situation, but
I'm sorry. Wait. All right, let's go again. Let's go again for Mr. Coleman here. Again, thank you to Duck Vader, who impromptu he made this for me after I made some wisecrack. Thank you, Duck Vader. Appreciate you. All right. Dun, dun. Okay. Yeah, you always know who the 3 are. You're right.
Valliant, I gotta hop out. I gotta hop out for a minute. Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, run with that week.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much, John Thomas, for that. Juliet, good to see you. Says like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Juliet, for being here. And I know it's late for you. Marcus for 2. If we could only have cloned Antonin Scalia. God, if only. Redisaurus for 5. Isn't it funny that we finally start seeing some federal indictments on people and organizations once Pam Bondi left? I quite honestly, I have not been paying that close. I know there's been some. I have not been paying that close attention on certain things. I mean, she was going after some people herself. I know wasn't what everybody wanted. I get it, but who specifically? Again, because I've been so busy the last couple of weeks, maybe I've missed something. Glade Riven for 5. Democrats are still attempting to force Wisconsin to redraw the district lines through the courts since 2011. They lost another case a few days ago. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of, I think, metric shift here. While Ron's out, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab some of these comments that some of the Democrats out there have been making, and a few in particular, some Louisiana folks as well, that have been dropping some of these bombers on us. Few of them here. We got this scroll down. I saw this one earlier, and we can comment this. Oh, Ron, you back? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I want to tell you why. I just want to. I want to tell you why I had to go.
Go ahead.
My brilliant and beautiful wife, Jane Coleman,
Yes,
had been hacked.
I was going to ask you about that.
She's a very smart lady. She got into the law school that I wanted to go to and didn't get into. But she fell for the "Will you vote for me" scam.
I saw something. Yeah, I got a message from her about "Will you vote for me?" And I'm like, And then it was, yeah.
So I don't want to say I know people, but I know some people. So we got a little bit of extra attention. It took almost the whole week. And she got back on, but she had to call me not to celebrate, but she had questions about procedurally. Because she's a much more productive member of society than I am, and doesn't spend nearly as much time on X as I do. Yeah. So the good news is, I'm telling everybody out there, Jane's back. Resubscribe if you unsubscribe because of that crypto message. It's all good.
Okay. Was it something? I mean, you just click on it and it's an issue. Or
yeah, that's the scary thing, is that all she did was click on it.
Yeah.
And the next thing, she didn't input her password. What kind of technology is that? It's one that I obviously don't know how to.
Yeah, I remember seeing it pop up in the chat, and I opened the chat. I hope I didn't click on it. I don't think I did, but I just remember.
You'd know because you'd already be selling crypto.
Oh, is that what it's doing?
Well, It did it, and then finally they wrested it back.
I see. Okay, got it.
I know it's malware, Snonarum. I know it's malware. I'm just curious how it really works. That's all. Anyway.
Yeah, going back to this, I was going to pull up some of the reactions that we've had from some of the Democrats out there and a couple of other things. And there again, it's like there's so much to go through. Some of the reactions have been absolutely bonkers. But, some of the reactions to this ruling specifically, this would be a racial gerrymander, even under the logic of Calais decision. It's still a 5-1 GOP, not 6-0, so there's no partisan rationale for making District 2 plurality white, which is the one that's always been around. It's the New Orleans Congressional District. But I got news for you. They're actually...
Can I see? I don't think I grokked that argument. The original post, the one. Yeah.
I'm
this
sorry.
This would be racial gerrymandering, even under the logic of the Calais decision. It's still 5-1 GOP, not 6-0. So there's no partisan rationale for making District 2 plurality white.
Mm-hmm.
The only purpose could be to deny black voters a candidate of choice.
I know. Help me figure that one out. The problem is, it seems
Matthew Chapman. What the decision says is that black voters can vote for anyone they want.
Exactly.
And white voters can vote for anyone they want, and no one can stop them. And also, no one can make them vote in a district restricted only to black people or white people.
Yeah.
They can vote for whoever they want.
Yeah,
dummy.
Pretty much. But this idea saying that, well, if and this is the thing, if they go this far out, and it may not... I'm starting to get some messages from folks, and I'll just leave it there. Might not see a map in the next few days. There might not be one yet that they're really settled on. It may be another month. But I guess apparently the ruling that has, there has to be a plan put forth in 3 days, I think, based on this federal court ruling that came out late today. is what I'm gathering, not necessarily a map itself. I'm just throwing that out there. Just I'm hearing things. It's what it kind of sounds like. Now, we might get a surprise, but what I'm hearing is could be another few weeks before we actually see what this is going to look like. Because this is what's getting debated right now. And that's why I saved this. Because there are the debate in the legislature right now in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, today and tomorrow, and probably through this weekend, okay, is going to be, okay, does this ruling compel us to also look at District 2, which is a deliberately drawn out black majority district. And this post here, and I don't know who this guy is, I don't know where he's from. Game Pro, oh God. He's a video game programmer, reporter at Raw Story. He lives in San Marcos, Texas. So this guy doesn't know his ass from his hole in the ground about Louisiana and New Orleans. Let's just put it there. Okay? I showed you earlier, definitively, the goofy winding path that literally has the city of New Orleans split in almost two for congressional districts. To say that you could not faithfully and reasonably draw a very good district like this, which is on the screen, okay, where you've got Orleans Parish right there is in that yellow. All the yellow there, they're saying, okay, that could be District 2, where you'd have New Orleans, Orleans Parish, St. Bernard, Plaquemine, the lower portion or the West Bank portion of Jefferson is what that looks like. Lafourche Parish and Terrebonne, which is like Thibodaux, Houma. You're starting to get into some real Cajun country there. Now, that's a reasonable, I could say that, in terms geographically, and the way that area of Louisiana functions together, even though you have a different racial component, certainly in Orleans Parish, that's probably more concentrated black than it is. Here's the problem, though. You can say, well, wait a minute, Valliant, you've got cities all over the country. A lot of them have multiple congressmen. Sure, because the south side of Chicago all on its own could give you 760,000 black voters. That's a congressional district, about 760,000.
100%, exactly.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have the same. I mean, look, that's what classic the Nadler district that they drew in New York.
Right, the Jerry Nadler district. Yeah. Was that before or after he shat his pants on TV? Yeah. Anyway, no, but I mean, and that's my point, is right there. But here's, again, Orleans Parish. Orleans Parish's population, where they're saying, well, New Orleans is a majority black city. Yes, it is. It's like 70% black. The problem with that is that there's only about 360,000 people living in the city of New Orleans proper. It's not, or not even that. It's not even half of what's required for a congressional district. So you've got to go somewhere else. And now not every voter in Orleans Parish, obviously, is Democrat. How do we know? Because they carved out a bunch of the Republican areas of New Orleans that are in Steve Scalise's district. Now, Scalise's district would become what is in the blue. And this is just somebody made this map up. And it ain't a half bad map, to be honest with you, as I'm looking at it. It's pretty, when I look at these geographic regions of Louisiana, they're pretty damn good, in terms of different culture and folks out there. But you got District 1, St. Tammany Parish. You've got the north side of Jefferson, which is where the highest concentration. That southern part of Jefferson Parish, there's not, the population isn't there. It's in that blue area that jams right up against Lake Pontchartrain. St. Charles, St. John, St. James, much smaller population parishes. You got the southern half of Tangipahoa basically cut in half at, I don't know if that's Highway 190 or whatever it is. That's a little goofy still. But look, let me tell you what, that's a perfectly reasonable map. That's a perfectly reasonable set of congressional barriers based on me having lived here for nearly 47 years and understanding that area well. District or Congressional District 6 on this map, the green smack in the middle. You see EBR and WBR. That's East Baton Rouge Parish, West Baton Rouge Parish. You've got Iberville Parish, Ascension, Livingston. That's a pretty good makeup right there. That's about right going down that I-12 corridor, basically the western edge of what we call the Florida parishes. Because, by the way, if you didn't know, that whole area above north of Lake Pontchartrain, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, Livingston, all the way over to West Baton Rouge. That was Florida. That wasn't part of the Louisiana Purchase. That was actually Florida. So it's still called the Florida parishes to this day. Those are perfectly reasonable congressional maps with absolutely no regard to whether you're white, black, whatever, whoever's living there. That's just purely, I'm looking at this based on, well, that's population. That's pure population to get the requisite number that you need per congressional district. District 3, which is where Jeff Landry came from, which is now Clay Higgins. Jeff Landry's our governor now. It was before that he was attorney general. But Jeff Landry came from District 3. That's all like deep Cajun country. That's Lafayette. That's New Iberia. That's on down. I mean, that's all along. That's the Bayou Chien. All right, that's all Cajun country. District 3, and that's kind of how it is now. Makes a lot of sense. So most of what's been moved there is districts 1, 2, and 6. That's where most of the movement has occurred in this case, and a little bit in District 1 to 5, but five is always goofy because of the population so sparse in that area. Perfectly good map, but this guy right here responding to this, and this guy just said, hey, look, perhaps this is what something would look like. And the guy even goes here to give you, by the way, if you didn't see this, gives you the population breakdown currently of all the congressional districts and makes that map make sense based on this. And this is actually a plan that was put forward by one of the House members, Mr. Boris, that is one of the maps they're actually considering. But the response to this was, this would be so, it doesn't matter what you do. If you take away the majority black district that's around New Orleans, that would be racist, and you're denying black people. I mean, there's people out there actually making the argument, elected officials, we can scroll, that we're taking away black people's right to vote. This is where we are.
These are the same people who call it murder if you don't let guidance counselors
trans kids.
Your kids. Yeah. I mean, the words don't mean to these people what they mean to us.
Republicans and their extremist Supreme Court don't want black people to have the right to vote or be represented. This is U.S. Congresswoman Representative Summer Lee.
Well, Summer Lee, I don't know about Summer Lee and her district much, but I will tell you that some of the absolute birdiest brain members of Congress are going to lose their seats. Mm-hmm. Some of the people who are elected solely, only, and exclusively for the reason that the Democratic Party has granted them the nomination in these black-only districts.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to cut it. And this is the best thing that could possibly happen for blacks in America, because these race hustlers and incompetents and brain damaged folks who are making black Americans look so bad in Congress, who come out of these districts, are going to be replaced in some cases by black politicians who have to appeal to everyone.
Yes.
And there's really good quality talent out there. No more of these. These were
It may not necessarily be Democrats. There could be black Republicans out there.
They're right, but exactly. These were franchises.
Right.
That's preposterous.
Yep. Speaking of, how about this one?
Brute manner.
I don't think it's a
There's been a lot of talk how there won't be any black Republican members in the new term.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Nothing. I don't understand how that's relevant.
Is there a problem with recruitment?
I don't think it's a problem with anything. I'm not here because I'm black. I am here because I'm qualified representative for Congressional District 38, and the American people choose who they want to choose. Yeah. And the one thing I don't want to get into is this game of race bait all day, every day. If there's 4, if there's 10, if there's none, what we are talking about is who is the best person that is best qualified to fill a seat regardless of the way that they look. and I tell people this all the time till I'm blue in the face. I represent a white majority district that President Trump would have won by over 20 points, and I won by 25 points the last time I ran. I'm being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. I don't care how many black people are here. I want the most qualified people that are here.
Bang. There you
We
go.
didn't plan that. We didn't plan that.
We didn't plan that. That is, by the way, Wesley Hunt, Congressman, Texas District 38.
Good for him.
Army veteran, West Point graduate, and just badass. That's how you do it. But these are the guys I think that the Democrats are most afraid of. You know, is guys like we're not. They're like Clarence Thomas. They're terrified of Clarence Thomas. They got pictures this week up and down Clarence Thomas wearing Klan hoods everywhere because he's an Uncle Tom or whatever.
No,
you know,
that's not because he's an Uncle Tom. Because he's escaped from the plantation.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's where was the picture? I don't even want to. I had it here. They had them all in. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Even clear.
So subtle. That is so. And it's like, how, well, I want to see the account just so I know who is the lovely person who came up with this one.
Oh, this probably.
Political
I don't know if it was
punk.
this. I don't know if it was this guy or if it was somebody else that he just retweeted. That's
fun.
I had this one on the other night. I loved this one from the United States Oil and Gas Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please be patient for a few moments as the thousands of Strait of Hormuz Twitter experts are making the shift over to the Voting Rights Act. They will be with you momentarily.
That's great.
Oh, now let's be depressed. The Supreme Court just eviscerated the Voting Rights Act. Trump and the Republicans are rigging the rules to suppress the right to vote. I don't think any of those words mean what you think they mean. Punkin, please go back to the Quality Leering Center.
He is. Oh, that's Ilan. Oh, I'm actually more interested in Mark. Elias.
You're looking at. Oh, well, I'll get to Mark Elias. Yeah, I've been peeing in his cornflakes. Ilan. No, that was Ilan Omar. Sorry, our Somali friend, bananas and rice. But yeah, again, this is the language. And remember, we just had another attempted hit on President Trump a few days ago. And the Democrats are right back at it. You know, Republicans are trying to put black people in chains and take away your right to vote. And I was like, no, nobody's right to vote's being taken away. The other lies, the election, Governor Landry, the Republican governor, to score points with Trump, has canceled the election. Also verifiably, demonstrably false. Nothing has been canceled. But again, we keep going around the same hyperbolic language over and over again that paints the Republicans as they are trying to end democracy. They are taking away women's rights to vote. They are taking away black people's rights to vote. We've got elected leaders in the Democrat Party out here ringing this bell over and over and over again.
No, there is no limitation. There's no principal limitation on what they will say or do in that party, ever.
No.
It's all about the power.
It is. It absolutely is. Elena Kagan says EHAF for $10. Looks like cross-dressing Kevin from when Kevin did that, I remember. Yeah. Oh God. Cross-dressing Kevin from The Office. I don't have a clip of that. I'll but I think I remember what you're talking. I know the one you're talking about when he wore the wig. It was terrifying. And Snarky dropping a $100 super chat. Hey, wow, Valliant Renegade is live and the world's most powerful attorney is present. Well, thank you very much, Snarky. We appreciate seeing you, man. Let's see. Wait, I should still have that in here, right? I didn't get rid of that one. Oh man, Pro sent me that one. I forget who. I think he made it or somebody made that for him, and he left it in my box back here on StreamYard. Thank you very much, Snarky, for the $100 super chat, man, helping to pay the bills around here. To Mark Elias, today's VRA decision is intellectually dishonest and wrong. The conservatives basically said black people can vote for their preferred candidates as long as they prefer the right candidates, which will be Republicans. An absolute mockery of the law and stain on the court. There's so much bullshit in there to unpack.
His entire career is built on bullshit. And he has done very, very well.
Yeah.
Selling it, slinging it.
It is, and it's like, I guess this isn't the one I responded to. I saved that one. I think there was another one I replied to. It might not have been one of my kind ones. I don't recall. Pete Buttigieg. Today's Supreme Court decision reverses hard-won progress under the VRA. It means less representation for millions of black Americans.
No,
and again, I keep arguing. It doesn't.
Just read further. You're now reading further than any other human being in the world has read. Okay, people didn't read that far when Abraham Lincoln tweeted something. I say tweeted because it was called Twitter in his day. Yeah. But Pete Buttigieg, no one cares what he has to say at all, but certainly not after the first sentence. Plus, I know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
There's got to be an AI agent that can tell you exactly what Pete Buttigieg is going to say.
You can talk about Barack Obama's tweet. It effectively guts a key pillar of the VRA, freeing state legislatures to gerrymander legislative districts to systematically dilute and weaken the voting power. Everybody still has a vote. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whatever, your vote counts the same as mine, counts the same as Ron's, right? That hasn't changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But because, a certain group of people, Democrats specifically is what we're referring to here, have had their special privileges taken away of having this, in their own worldview, this color of law that protects them for gerrymandering. And again, what did Democrats do for the longest time? They accuse the other side of that which they themselves do, which is the gerrymandering in this case. The very black congressional districts are themselves the height, the epitome of gerrymandering. But if Republicans want to say, no, we're not handing out special privileges based on skin color anymore, then that means it's the Republicans that are gerrymandering. And going back to something that we briefly touched on earlier, what a lot of Democrats are mad about, and you can see it in a lot of these tweets, especially Barack's and everybody else's. They're mad because, once again, well, this is precedent. This has stood for 60 years. It doesn't matter. It has to stand. This idea that a court can never go back and correct a previous mistake because, well, it's been around this long, so we can't touch it no matter how effed up it is ridiculous in my worldview. What do you think? I mean, the court looks like they fixed an issue here. They fixed something that was clearly wrong. I don't care if it was enforced for 60 years or 6 days.
Of course, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Should we? How long was Plessy versus Ferguson good law?
Oh God! You mean when they revisited it?
I'm saying there were lots of Supreme Court decisions. Roe versus Wade. I mean, this is they pull this out every time they lose one.
Right.
Roe versus Wade was a terrible decision. Even liberals acknowledged that it was a terrible decision, not because they disagreed with the outcome, because it was legally unsound. It was terrible. And the Supreme Court said this right doesn't exist. Finally, last year. But wait a minute. 1973 was so long ago. That's not how we do it.
Right.
That's not how we do it. You know what was also a very long-standing practice? Men only marrying women and women only marrying men. Very long-standing.
Yes. Yes.
Longstanding is
And we have some other gems, just from randos out there. Y'all, we have a Republican supermajority of fascists in Louisiana, and we still said no at an almost 70% of the voting body in the state to this last year. Voted no on them all again. In talking about some of the ballot initiatives coming up. Now, this is some of the stuff that's still going to be on the ballot, even though the congressional race is going to be suspended from this ballot and another ballot for primaries made later. Remember, we're still going to have United States Senate. We're still going to have these, and I hate that we need a constitutional convention in Louisiana. I would take Louisiana's convention and burn it tomorrow if I could. They've got to do the whole thing over again. It's a disaster. But, you know, people complaining about this, and where's the other one I wanted to get? Okay, this was the guy I wanted to introduce everybody to. Ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner Devontae Lewis.
the commissioner.
Yes. Public service commissioners in Louisiana actually are pretty politically powerful positions. Very large districts. Yeah. And there's about, I think there are 5 in the state of Louisiana. To give you they are larger districts geographically than even congressional districts. Pretty strong out there. I'm in District 1. I think is where we have a guy who's retiring this year. Somebody I know is going to be running for that seat. Well, a few people running for that seat. Commissioner Devontae Lewis is Public Service Commissioner District 3, whose primary center is Baton Rouge. The glee that Governor Jeff Land, remember, this is a very large, this is the closest thing to a statewide elected office that exists that isn't statewide in Louisiana. The glee that Governor Jeff Landry and Attorney General Liz Muriel has right now should be a reminder that racism isn't dead. You can imagine my reaction to this one.
Stop.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the plural of to have is not has, but have.
Thank you, Professor Coleman. Here's where it really gets off the rails. They are Governor Landry and attorney. Remember, this is another elected official in Louisiana saying that our governor and our attorney general are, quote unquote, enacting the violence of slavery.
Enacting the violence of slavery.
Yes.
In those words in a row.
Mm-hmm.
No hablo factardo. Sorry. That does not compute.
Oh, God. I've clipped that. He continues, he says, who needs whips, chains, dogs, or he just says dog, or water hoses? They use policy as violence. Yeah, they use policy as violence to terrorize black people. We're going right back to words of violence.
That hose wrong.
Yeah. And you're on point tonight. But we're right back to words or violence. We're right back to Republicans are the words that Republicans say, the things that they do are the same as violence. They are the same as slavery. This is a very large this is a geographically elected, almost a statewide elected official in Louisiana, and we wonder why Trump keeps getting shot at.
They use policy as violence to terrorize black people. You know who's terrorized? Black Democrats who no longer get those franchise positions.
Yep.
No one else who you have to worry about.
I'm going to tell you why, so you understand. Because remember, audience, where did I just tell you PSC District 3 is in Louisiana? It's around Baton Rouge. What's the district that is being yeeted right now, occupied by Cleo Fields? Baton Rouge. It stretches now all the way up to Shreveport. When you run for public service commissioner in Louisiana, it is not terribly uncommon the next step you take, because of the geographic expanse that you've covered, you've already run a successful election. You've got people to say yes to you on a ballot. A lot of times for public service commissioners, their next step is either a statewide elected office or United States Congress, right? Because of the overlay of the district maps. This guy, because Cleo was, I don't know how much longer Cleo was going to be in that seat. I mean, not somebody's going to run him off, but I mean, you know, Cleo's getting up there in years. He might not be there forever. This younger, he's probably the guy behind Cleo that was going to get propped up next. And the district that he was thinking might be his 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just got yeeted. So he's a little pissed. My opinion.
Absolutely. He's terrorized.
Yeah,
he's
and
terrorized.
This guy's certifiably insane. And I sent this to some other friends. I was making sure that some of my other friends out there in government in Baton Rouge was like, make sure y'all saw this, right? And I'm gonna send you this tweet. Here's your buddy. You might want to check on him. But yeah, this is him, Public Service Commissioner for Louisiana's District 3. Dreamer, black, educated, goofy, owned by Sarah, which I guess is his dog, act, love, walk, and then we've got the pride flag in there. So
Owned by Sarah.
Yes, and I love how it says followed by Charlie Kirk, which probably was for some reason. I just thought the bizarre nature of that. But any case, yeah, elected official here in the state of Louisiana who's doing this. That was Bronca's breakdown. Gary Chambers. I'm bringing them all today here. Oh, God. Gary Chambers. Mr. Hug-a-Thug is governor race bait today. Some of y'all seem to think he had a point the other day. Jeff Lander responded to the Supreme Court decision striking down second majority black congressional district by saying the race baiting can end now. In other words, black people seeking fair representation are being labeled as race baiting. Again, is it really fair representation that you can gerrymander your own district based on your skin color? To them, that's fair. Because they think, well, the white people are in Congress because...
Not because they deserve it, but because there are hardly any white people.
Right.
So the white people who run for election just automatically get in because they're white.
Yeah.
There's no competition for white slots.
If you're in, because this is, by the way, if you don't know, Gary Chambers he's a Louisiana politician, Baton Rouge asshole. This is one of the guys that fought tooth and nail against St. George, by the way. If you're in and around Baton Rouge, pull up tomorrow for the community meeting someplace somewhere. Click on the link in my bio to support summer sessions of civics for the people. God help it if you're learning about civics from Gary fucking Chambers. Playtime is over. Find and fund the fighters because fighting back is the only option. We can interpret that as you like because Gary Chambers, he's kind of out there,
Zoe's dad, is that another animal name?
No, I think that's actually his kid. So
you don't put your kid's name. Don't put your kid's name in your button. Your first thing in your bio.
Yeah,
I know you love her so much. You want her to know that she's the number one thing in your life. I get that, but that's for her. It's for her, not for creeps like Valliant Renegade.
I knew it was coming at some point.
And Ron Coleman.
This was a great post. I saw it today, and I think maybe it was Andrew Bronca that posted this one actually, or retweeted it, I should say. Theo Wald said, if nothing else, the Louisiana versus Calais decision demonstrates just how much Democrat Party power in America has become an artificial construct. They gain power through counting illegals in the census, diluting election security rules, forcing red states to draw congressional districts solely on the basis of race. They have no ability to argue their positions on the merits, so they've built those pillars of power to rig the game. But now they're slowly coming to an end. And that's where a lot of the anger is coming from right now, without a doubt, is they're losing this grip they've had. Representative Mike Levin, Section 2 was how we ensured Black, Latino, and other minority communities had a real shot at electing representatives who reflect their priorities.
You know, that's what you can run things that way. You can have a country that does that. It's just not this country. It's not the way. It's one person, one vote. All votes are equal. By the way, this makes black votes more meaningful in all the other districts.
Yep.
Because they have not now been excised from electoral consideration, from political consideration.
Yep.
By more moderate politicians. They have to be appealed to as well. You know why? Because they're voters. They're voters just like your two persons of power talking to you right now. They're just voters.
Yeah. This might put a smile on some people's faces related to the story. Illinois policy says the U.S. Supreme Court has put the brakes on the Illinois legislature's proposed redistricting amendment. In a 6-3 decision, Louisiana versus Calais, the court ruled that drawing districts based predominantly on race violates the creation of a racial, violates the 14th Amendment. Because the Illinois amendment required the creation of a racial coalition of based districts, the proposal is now unconstitutional. So Illinois was one of these states like, oh, okay, the red states are going to redistrict, but we're redistricting to get rid of racial gerrymandering, which is unconstitutional. The Democrat-run states, like Illinois, are simply redistricting purely for the basis of getting rid of Republicans. Is what it's boiled down to. And they're doing this by creating more, quote unquote, or trying to create more minority districts, which just got yeeted. The Illinois Senate has officially paused all movement on the amendment just days ahead of the May 3rd deadline to get it on the November ballot. So if this post, everything here is accurate, if they can't get it settled by May 3rd, then they won't be able to do this year, which, again, might be an interesting monkey wrench just to see how that works out.
But you know, it also makes me wonder if it's taken them this long, Valliant, because this has been in play for a while, right? In Illinois,
I believe
there might be some. This might have saved them from. Well, that is really a beauty, huh?
Oh, that weird little blue strip district that comes off of. I'm guessing that's towards Missouri. Right? I'm trying to think on the map. Yeah, it's got to be. Or no.
I was never that far south in Illinois in my days.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's up here. But in any case, I think this is one of the other reasons that, this whole idea of breaking up these race-based gerrymandered districts is the fact that more black voters are becoming Republican. This is also another issue. And this was something that was on CNN. We can watch this.
The Republican Party are chipping away at the long-term advantage that Democrats have had with black voters, with African Americans. You can see it right here. Look, Trump's approval among African Americans at this point in term one, he was at 12%. He's been losing ground with a lot of groups. He's gaining ground with African Americans. He's up to 16% at this point.
Wait a minute.
This isn't that big
Maybe
of a
they
shift,
should only be
but
allowed.
I will tell you,
Maybe the problem here, obviously, is that they're being allowed to vote in the same poll as white people.
You might be right.
There should be a special poll that only black people can vote. I mean, no, they obviously do separate out people by that in polls. But
Oh yeah, all the crosstabs
this
have
but
that.
this is
Yeah.
this is why? Because unlike the Democrats, Donald Trump and Republicans don't think black people are stupid
Or monolithic. That's the other side of it too.
Please,
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say just like Congressman Levin that we had up a minute ago before this one, talking about how we created these districts so that blacks and Latinos and so on and so forth could have representation aligned with their priorities. Again, as if racial demographics they're all monolithic thinkers. All black people think this way. All Latino people think this way. All, so on and so forth. That they had to have somebody with their skin color and their ethnic background. Otherwise, they don't have representation.
Representation.
Yes. Next to reparations. But no, back to this real quick on CNN.
Republicans absolutely love this shift that's going on because Democrats have had such a long-term advantage. The fact that he's actually gaining ground versus where he was in term number one, this has major implications for elections down the line because Democrats, especially in a lot of these tight races, you talk about places like Georgia, right down in the South, you see this type of movement for Trump actually gaining ground. This could have major ramifications and could help put Republicans over the top in a number of southern places in the midterm elections.
But do you see this as part of a bigger trend?
I see this as absolutely part of a bigger trend.
She looks really worried.
She's thinking of a better. Is there another question I can ask him?
Yeah, she just looks like that is somebody looks like she's either holding in a fart.
Well, maybe she might, but I'd like to think that she likes this guy. They're friendly, and he's going to be fired.
He's actually been doing this on CNN for a while. He's probably one of the few points he just comes out and I'll just give you the numbers, man. This is what's going on.
Donald Trump's Republican Party is absolutely gaining ground, not just him gaining in terms of his approval rating, but look at the party ID margin, Kate, because this to me was absolutely stunning. Look at this party ID margin among African Americans. At this point in Trump term number one, Democrats had a 63-point advantage. That is absolutely fallen. Look at where it is now. A double-digit shift away. Democrats, of course, still have the advantage, but it's a 12-point shift to the Republican Party. And I look back through Gallup's records. They sent me their records. And this, in fact, lead that Democrats have is actually smaller than any lead from 2006 to 2021. So Democrats are leading. But again, we're talking about chipping away. Republicans are chipping away at this long-term advantage that Democrats have had among African Americans. We see it in terms of Trump's approval rating, and we even see it to a wider degree among the party ID margin, where all of a sudden there are a number of African Americans who are walking away from the Democratic Party and a number of them who are walking into the Republican tent.
That is very interesting looking at that past Gallup information.
Yeah.
What does this mean for the race for control in Congress?
Okay, so you see this right here. You see this 51-point advantage that Democrats have, significantly less than you see that 63-point advantage. And what we will note was back in 2024, right, Donald Trump put in a historically strong performance among African Americans. Democrats performed the worst in a generation. Have they gained any of that coalition back from where they fell down to in 2024? But take a look here. Okay. Choice for election among African Americans. Kamala Harris was leading amongst that group in the pre-election polling by 63 points. Are Democrats gaining back any of that ground?
No.
It's a 62-point advantage now. Republicans are holding on to the gains that they made among African Americans in 2024. Republicans are gaining among African Americans. They are chipping away at that long-term advantage. The Donald Trump-led Republican Party is making gains among African Americans that we simply put have not seen the Republican Party make in a generation.
Shit!
Well, but why should you be surprised? We're using chains and dogs. Well, we're using policy. We're using policy.
We're using violence of slavery.
It's like chains and dogs and hoes, which are violence, and therefore the black people are responding to these polls out of terror.
Yes, that must be it. That must be it. It's voter intimidation, Ron. We can't have that. This is what the Democrats are terrified as. Again, the ones who are the black Democrat elected leaders in D.C., are there, not in all cases, but in many cases, especially from southern states, because they have had congressional districts specifically, specially carved out. So we're talking special privileges carved out based on skin color. That's problem number one. Now you compound it with, and then the regular electorate out there is still having a gradual but sure and steady shift to the right in the last 10 plus years. And that doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. There are so many things that are just not going right for Democrats right now. And again, the midterm elections are still a long way off, and political memory, as I continue to remind folks, is very, very short historically.
And there is more Justice Department fun to come.
Oh yeah,
over the next few months. I promise you.
I think so as well. I think there's a good bit more to come out there. In the oh no, did we really already? Oh man, I just, it was right there. I refreshed the page, Ron. You buddy. Mark Elias breaking a new lawsuit is challenging Louisiana's decision to suspend congressional primaries already underway, arguing that the state of Louisiana is illegally nullifying votes and plunging an active election into chaos following the Supreme Court's schedule. Let me make it very clear. Again, just as a Louisiana guy, and Ron, you tell me what you think about this crap, because it just sounds like crap. Nothing has started here. The only votes that have been turned in that would be not counted are absentee ballots that people have already A, received, and B, have been mailed back. We're talking about a teeny tiny number of votes here, barely any that would register on the Richter scale. We have not opened early voting yet. That is why this was done. And don't forget, there was a federal court order that said, stop this shit, okay? Not talking about the SCOTUS one. I'm talking about the other federal court order that came down later today. Stop this shit. Those absentee ballots, of the probably 1% of 1% of the total electorate of absentee ballots that have actually made it back already. The only vote on that ballot, remember, there's 10 different things on that ballot that people have voted for. The only thing that they voted for that would be discounted, meaning it would not go into the pile, would be their vote for their congressman. That will be resumed at a later date, and those people will have an opportunity to cast that vote again in a separate primary. I cannot, again, we have not had the primaries have not happened. Early voting has not started. Early voting does not start until Saturday, 2 days from now. You throw out election day voting and early day voting, basically none of the vote has turned in yet, statistically speaking. So this is a steaming pile of dog shit. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I'm going to pull up the article because I want to see what this dumb shit is. Democracy docket. I want to continue reading, but I don't want to subscribe to your freaking fish rag. Okay, well then I won't read it. Cool. Yeah, it's a subscribe here.
It's all about the grift, baby.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm trying to find the other one I had saved because where was this one? Oh look, there's a picture of your friend. It's on Mark Elias's tweet.
She is my friend, and you know why Harmeet's my friend? Because she's not my partner anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we're not working together, we can be friends.
We can go back to being friends.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Republicans want to make it harder for you to vote, easier for them to cheat. Like you can stop describing yourself, Mark.
He is just a terrible person.
He's like a zit. You just want to pop. It just genuinely, I can't even speak democracy docket because he's the guy filing the lawsuit, by the way.
And other minority voters. And
he's being
that's not
funded
hyperbole. That's
oh yeah. Oh, you think he's got like a check from Soros every month? Yes. in some form or fashion. How is this being treated as normal? I think this was the other one. A Republican governor is declaring a state of emergency to cancel an ongoing election for... Again, demonstrably false. Nothing has been canceled, you dickbag. Not a single thing has been canceled. There will still be a primary, Republican and Democrat, for Congress, every district in this state. There will still be a general election for Congress this November in this state for every district. It is simply not going to happen on the date that was prescribed previously. It's being moved. It's being rescheduled. They keep using the word canceled deliberately as a gaslight. And this, in fact, this might have been the one I kind of went off. Yeah, okay, I did. Speaking of, this is when I you can just read it because I got pissed. There has to be a lawsuit to stop this. I hope your firm is in on it. Sure enough, there was a lawsuit filed like an hour after that post that he did. It's like, what are you suing to stop? You're suing the Supreme Court effectively? Explain this, Ron.
He's suing to stop the Louisiana courts from enforcing the judgment of the Supreme Court. And he's going to argue, as he has promised to, that they didn't really say what they mean, just like Congress didn't really say what it meant when it passed the legislation. Until he is sanctioned again for misleading the court, I put something up for sharing.
Oh, I got you. Hang on a second. All right, let's see what you got here, Ron. Go for it. You want to zoom in on that?
Just my little thoughts about a Mark Elias.
Oh yeah,
referring to the stain on the court. The guy is a stain. The guy's a stain.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I loved it. It's from Democracy. I don't know if anybody else has run is picking that up anywhere in the news. I'm not going to go subscribe to his stupid website.
It'll come. It's not going. It ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is.
And here's the beauty part: he's in Louisiana.
Oh yeah. Oh look, we grow some goofballs down. Look at James Carville. Sorry, America.
Well, let's face it. Let's go back to Huey Long. It's not a.
Oh God. They still got the bullet holes in the wall at the Capitol when you walk in.
Kingfish.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anything. WDSU hasn't picked it up. WWL. I was just trying to see if anybody had acknowledged that this thing has been filed in the news media. I don't see it. Oh God, all the Louisiana lawmakers. I can't. I'm not even going to pull up the audio on it, but I'm just looking at some of the articles.
No, please don't.
No, I'm not.
Let's check out Super Chat. Is there anything? Do we owe anyone?
We do. We have a couple more here as we wind it down. Snarky says for 2, and thank you for the $100 earlier, Snarky again. Thank you very much.
And I promise you, one of these days, this man is going to share that money with me.
Oh yes,
It's going to be so.
I need
awesome.
your PayPal. I
gave it to you, you stinker.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and look. I don't know what the hell I did with it then. All right, Snarky for 2. Elon and her brusband. She's a. I see what you did. There.
She's not really a loon. She is brilliant. She's played it brilliant. Everything she has tried, she's succeeded at. She's gotten away with it. She's living the dream. She's living even better than her rich family in her native country lives, because they live there.
Yep.
Not a loon at all.
Mm-mm. Politically, she's a loon, I think. Jeremiah Hembry for 5. Ron, I have a question to ask. What did Vanguard agree to in the settlement with Texas with the lawsuit that they're in?
What?
I don't know.
I don't know about. I don't
is that
know
the one?
I don't know.
I'm thinking.
I know I am perhaps the most knowledgeable legal talking head in your neighborhood, but I don't know everything that happens in every case. And I also don't know if it was a settlement with Texas, then I guess it would be public because it's a state. But I have no idea.
I have an AI. Okay, this is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, there was a few lawsuits out there, and a lot of it had to do with like BlackRock and Vanguard using ESG as a metric, and then basically using their voting leverage and power. That there were accusations. So the AI overview, and this is Google AI. February of 2026, Vanguard Group settled a multi-state lawsuit led by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton for $29.5 million.
So a year, 15 months ago?
February 2026.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just like,
folks,
yeah.
What did he say? What did he say? He said 2025, right?
Did I say 25? I'm sorry.
Even then, it's May, okay? It's here in New York, it's 2 hours away from May. I'm sorry, Henry, but for $5, we don't do time travel like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was agreed to passivity comments ending efforts to influence portfolio companies on carbon emissions, and that was the whole ESG stuff. Packing protons for
but
five.
I think also Texas had a special interest in that because it was anti-oil producers.
Yes, it was the oil and gas thing. It was the whole ESG push from the mutual fund companies was impacting economically Texas. Packing protons for five. Representative that guy. I've never seen a better hairpiece in my life. My God, resigns from Congress to take. Did he actually?
Can't be. That's a joke.
Oh God, please. Oh God, I'm terrified. Please tell me. I might not be. Thank God. He might not be. It wouldn't surprise me.
Why would he do that? Why would they hire him?
H-1B visa?
Why? Does he code?
Does he? I probably does.
All right, Grok says, no credible sources report Representative 3 Thanadar resigning from Congress.
Yeah. Packing protons for 10. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says that after the VRA decision, Democrats are prepared to redraw congressional maps in New York, Illinois, Maryland, and Colorado ahead of the 20
because until now
elections.
they've been really down the middle. They're gonna. What are they thinking? They already lost in the New York Court of Appeals. They were rejected, and their Brooklyn redistricting case. What do they think they're going to do now?
Yeah, exactly.
They lash out like children.
That's just it. And the problem is if they find themselves compelled to draw lines in order to, achieve something to where they're just going to knock Republicans out, right? And this is the key thing. Like if you look at the breakdown, look at the electoral results of certain places. Even when you look, Louisiana is nearly the House and the Senate in Louisiana are so heavily lopsided towards Republicans. This is not like a 55-45 state. This is not a state that a guy like Trump only wins by 5 points. This is decisively hard red. There are little blue specks out there, but again, a lot of those blue specks get amplified when you have these racially gerrymandered districts, making them look more potent than they really are, versus having, and this is why the map we had up earlier, if you drew a congressional map in the, let's call it the greater central Baton Rouge, central Louisiana area, whatever, you could squirrel up 700,000 voters right there, which I'm sure is what's going to be on the map. But you're pulling in a lot of the outside of Baton Rouge proper area itself, which is more suburban, more white, and everything else. But that is an area, right? I don't know how again, are you losing any Republican representation in Chicago? No. You have one or two seats in Illinois like that might be Republican. Same kind of thing with New York. There's a few seats in New York that are certainly Republican. There's a Republican seat on Long Island, right? Or is it Staten? No, yeah, Long Island got a Republican seat. They'll try to eliminate that one. But again, when you look at where it is, it's like, well, how do you the only way you could do that is to make a very unnatural looking district that would snake its way across into the island or something like this to pick up just enough Democrat votes and snake back to this big balloon piece on Long Island. Again, Louisiana's trying to undo the goofy looking districts. The way that these other states are going to change that is to make goofy looking districts. More often than not, I would bet. So, in any case. Ron Coleman, thanks for joining tonight. You got some final thoughts or anything else you want to share?
I'm not ready to sign off on final. I believe I will be alive next week.
Good.
With God's help. It's great to see everybody again. You say it's been like 6 weeks. I thought it was like 6 months. Have we done?
It might have been.
Have we done this in 2026? Because I had the whole wedding thing in December and January.
That's
and
true.
Then you were things.
Yeah, I got bogged down.
I'm not so sure
might have been more longer than that.
But man, we just slid right back into this so smooth.
It was good. It's good.
Thanks, guys, for your super chats. I mean, they kind of sucked, but we're getting back up to speed here. It's been an incredible simulation of reality as ever. Thank you.
Indeed. Y'all have a good night. Go subscribe to Ron's channel. Check out our main channel on Valliant Renegade. We'll be back here for the Sunday show. Have a